What's up, everybody? This is Damron with Trash Ass Gamers, bringing you another Elder Scrolls Online Veteran Dungeon Guide. This is for Vaults of Madness. This is a really cool dungeon in Cold Harbor. Um, I really like the Cold Harbor feel to it. It's really fun to run. It's kind of one of the longer base game dungeons with some pretty cool bosses in it. So I really like this dungeon. If you haven't seen these videos, I will keep this as a complete playthrough so you know exactly where I'm at and how I got there. If you're having any difficulty throughout the dungeon, obviously I'll focus mainly on the boss mechanics, and I'll try to point out anything else within the dungeon that I think is important. So let's get moving. We'll blast through the first set of ads, and I'll meet you guys at the first boss. Alright, first up, the Cursed One. This boss is not too bad. It's really just a mini boss, doesn't have much health, but you need to be careful because she will target an enemy, and basically all the damage that you do to the Cursed One will reflect damage to that player. So if you're too slow in your initial burn, you have to be careful about that. Other than that, it's just a mini boss that leads up to our first real boss, Ulguna the Soul-Reaver. Now, there's something to take note of. As soon as you initiate this fight, flames are going to spawn on either side of the bridge. So really you want to make sure your team is ready to go prior to starting it, because if they get caught on the other side completely, they likely will die from running through the fire. Now for her attacks themselves, as you see there, she does do a Flave Wave attack that goes out in front of her. So you want the tank to hold her and everybody else just kind of stand behind, and you'll avoid that. Other than that, she'll blast some light attacks at the tank. You really don't need to worry too much about this boss though. The health is pretty low, so you'll likely burn her before she really does anything else. So let's get moving. Alright, so next up is another Bone Colossus type enemy, Death's Hand. A lot of these enemies are throughout the dungeons in the game. Now he will do a charge attack and leave behind these small little AoEs that have these Oblivion symbols in them. Obviously you want to stay out of that. They don't last too long, but obviously if you stand in it, that'll cause some damage. He'll also do a conical foot slam attack, and that will do some damage to whoever's in front. So as most bosses, let the tank hold him and kind of stand to the side or behind, and you'll avoid that. As well as his run that does kind of put those symbols on the ground. If you get hit by his initial run, it won't probably kill you, but it will do damage and knock you down. And those are the only real mechanics you need to know about him. So let's keep moving through this cool dungeon, and we'll meet you guys at the next guy. Alright, so the next person that wants to get taught a lesson is this big flesh Atronach guy right here, Grothdarr. Now he's not too bad. He will slam a heavy attack on the ground that if you get aggro, you certainly want to roll dodge that to avoid a one-shot kill. But the interesting thing about this fight is these kind of tracking lava pools that kind of float around the map. They move in a random pattern, so you just want to kind of pay attention to where they're going and stay out of that AoE. And then also you saw that heavy attack that he does doesn't just do striking damage, it does do a little conical damage in a short area in front of him. So just stay behind him as always if you're the DPS, and then pay attention to those lava things that are kind of floating around the map. As long as you do that, you should be fine, and we'll press on. So this guy, I have no idea how to pronounce his name. I'm going to say Achaeraizur, which sort of sounds like Occam's razor, but it's not. He's a Daedra, basically a crematorium guard. He's kind of a mini boss, doesn't have much health. He'll have a little AoE around him and light and heavy attack every once in a while. And you'll also see these hands that kind of come out of the ground and grab you. You just roll dodge to get out of that. But they won't really do anything to you, and he'll have a lot of soul shriven there in this area with him. But this is really a mini boss, nothing really that's going to give you any trouble. So clean him up and keep pushing on. So another little mini boss up here, the Ancient One, who's essentially a Watcher. He just has a little bit more health, and his attacks tend to do a little bit more damage. He does the similar beam attack that all the Watchers that are in the game do, but it just causes a little bit more damage. So you definitely want to avoid that. As long as you stay behind him, all of those kind of laser attacks will be in front of him, so you don't need to worry as long as you stay behind. And he will do this kind of like circular attack where he'll swipe everybody, but the radius of that attack isn't too much, and even if you do get hit by it, it's not going to kill you. So you don't really need to try and stay away from it. Just kind of stand in there and fight, and then once you get hit by that, just heal and you'll be good to go. And then we'll roll up to the next boss shortly after, Iskra the Omen, who is a dragon type boss. He's pretty cool. The flame attacks that he fire out are, you know, kind of that Cold Harbor type flame, so it's cool. You'll see him jump up in the air as he did there, and that will knock you down if you're within the AoE radius. So get out of that so you can maintain your DPS. As soon as you're able to go back into the circle. You don't want to waste that time being down on the ground. And he also shoots this flame out in a straight direction, and the thing about that flame is that it will stay up for quite a long time. So you're pretty much out of that area of the map once he shoots that flame out, but you probably won't have more than 1 or 2 flames to worry about. So just stay behind him, keep your DPS up, stay out of those flames, and watch out for the jump AoE, and you'll be good to go. Alright, so we're rolling up on the final boss of the dungeon, so pretty quick dungeon. The Mad Architect. He does have a few attacks that you need to be aware of that can certainly kill you pretty quickly, and a lot of people that are going for their no death run, this is, you know, where they'll kind of die. And what you want to do is you want to position yourself sort of to the edge of this circle, and I'll explain why in just a minute. You don't want to be too close to him, and you don't want to be too far out of the circle, because there is an attack that he does that will either spawn in the circle or outside of the circle, and if you're in the area where his attack is, it'll likely kill you pretty fast. Now he'll spawn some adds throughout the fight as well, and he'll also spawn a Bone Colossus, I think, into the fight a little bit later, but you know, just stack them on the boss and keep your DPS on him. He'll also kind of do this little AoE on the ground, which looks like skeleton hands that are coming up. That'll damage you a little bit and slow you down, so stay out of that. So here's the attack. That's coming up in the middle area, so you cannot stand in there. If you're in there, you will die. And the other version of that is when he will do that outside of the circle, and they kind of look like little music symbols floating in the air. When he does that, then you want to be inside the circle, but you're not going to see that here because we burned past him from doing that attack twice. But just be aware that it can be inside or outside of the circle, and that's why I like to be on the edge of the circle. So there we got a little bone colossus that I was talking about. But again, just stack them on him. Avoid the little AoE with the skeleton hands on the ground, and pay attention to being on the edge of that circle, and you'll be able to clean him up no problem. So let's look at the monster set that comes out of this dungeon, which is the Grothdarr set. This set is pretty neat. I personally don't use it, but it will give you extra magicka, and also when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create lava pools that swirl around you and deal 2,000 flame damage to all enemies within 8 meters every second for 5 seconds. So it's pretty cool, but I'm not a magicka character, so I don't use this set, but it is pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you like this, and if it helps you, feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.